Welcome to the fantasy show with two dumbasses and a shitty set. The only fantasy show to watch, period. I'm Larry, this is my buddy Rich, and today we're going to discuss our top 25 players and some of our fantasy prospects. And we'll also discuss some guys that we will not recommend picking up.
All right, Larry. First, I'm going to start with my top 10. The first few guys are pretty standard. Arian Foster, Chris Johnson, Adrian Peterson, Ray Rice, and Jamal Charles. I chose Ray Rice at the number 4. Just have a feeling he's in for a breakout year with McGahee not being there anymore. He's gonna come in and score a lot of those touchdowns. Jamal Charles led the league in yards per carry last year. He's a beast. I just see him fitting in the number 5. And number 6, I got LaShawn McCoy, especially in PPR leagues, because he'll catch you about 60 balls this year. Like Mendenhall at the number 7 spot, Andre Johnson at the number 8. Can't really get too much more consistent at wide receiver than Andre Johnson. And I close it out with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the game right now. Can't see how that would ever be a bad choice.
Okay, Rich, thank you. I'm actually going to mention my top 10 and also talk about where I agree with you in some areas. But let me just say my top 10. First, I'm going with all day, Adrian Peterson. Don't really have to say why. Number 2, I'm going to go with Chris Johnson. 3, I'm going with Jamal Charles, and I'll explain why in a moment. 4, I'm going Ray Rice. And 5, I let Arian Foster slip there. Then I have Rashad Mendenhall at 6. Aaron Rodgers, agree with Rich, at 7. 8, surprising, you're going to laugh, I have Darren McFadden. 9, I have Andre Johnson. Like Rich said, very consistent. Can't go with a better wide receiver than Andre. And closing out my top 10, I have Michael Vick. Mainly because he can guarantee you maybe 50 points a game. One game at least throughout the season, and that's huge. He just has to stay healthy, but he's definitely worth top 10 in my opinion. Going back to Jamal Charles at number 3, basically Rich said it, he's a beast. Averaged, what was it, 6.9, something like that, yards per carry the whole season. I mean, you can't get better than that. You might be shocked that I let Arian Foster slip to 5. You know what? He's good. He's very good. I actually liked him before he even blew up when he was an undrafted rookie. Only thing is, he did one season. We'll see what happens. He was plagued with injuries throughout his college career. I mean, I'm not sold. Top 5, though, I think is pretty good after having only one good year. And then Mendenhall, you and I think we had him in the same spot. So I think you should continue now with the rest of your top 20.
I think Arian Foster 5 is crazy.
Do you really?
Yeah, he was almost 100 points better than the next guy last year. That's crazy. It's 100 points.
Yeah, but
he
really
blew the
think
next
he's
guy
going to
away.
repeat that?
Even if he doesn't repeat it, he still might just be 50 points ahead of that guy. Like, he had a monster year.
Notice
like,
he's wearing an Arian Foster jersey.
Yeah.
So
All right, we're going 11 through 20 now. At 11, I had Darren McFadden. I actually do think D-Mac's going to have a big year. I have Peyton Hillis at 12, Calvin Johnson at 13, Hakeem Nicks at 14. If Stafford stays healthy, Calvin's going to have a retarded year. Calvin's going to have 22 touchdowns. He's going to do something insane. 1,500, 1,600 yards. Calvin Johnson is going to go crazy. That's if Stafford could stay healthy, though.
Big if.
Big if. Huge if. Hakeem Nicks also. If Hakeem Nicks stays healthy, I think Hakeem Nicks could have a huge year, too. A 15, 16 type touchdown year. He had a lot of touchdowns last year. I think he actually had a touchdown in every game he played, which is pretty dope. But he did miss some games. After Nicks, I got Brady. You can't say anything more. He's just so consistent. Larry Fitzgerald, Steven Jackson, Greg Jennings, Deshaun Jackson, and Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace is a beast, and Deshaun Jackson is going to catch a lot of balls. And the Eagles are going to be explosive, and Vic loves him, and he's going to do insane.
You just made me think of somebody I forgot, but okay. Well, Deshaun Jackson, I do agree with you there, but he did not make my top 25, so I just realized that now. But I'm going to go into my 11 through 20, and then we'll jar a little bit. At 11, I have LaShawn McCoy. Number 12, I have Maurice Jones-Drew, which hasn't even cracked Rich's top 20. 13, I have Roddy White. Okay, that's the second wide receiver I have going off the board. 14, I have Steven Jackson. Consistent workhorse. 16, I have Peyton Hillis. 17, I have Larry Fitzgerald. Big Fitzy. Share the same name this week. 18, I have Calvin Johnson. I'm sorry, 17, I have Calvin Johnson. 18 is Frank Gore. 19, Greg Jennings. And 20, just like Rich, Mike Wallace. Calvin Johnson, I did let him go right after Fitzy. I put them down. You know, they're pretty much interchangeable. I do think Calvin's in for a big year. Like Rich said, if Stafford stays healthy, that's a huge if. I guess the shocking part of that bottom half would be Jones-Drew, especially so high. I think I put him at 12. I don't know. I don't care what people are saying. He's a fantasy beast. He's still young. He's got one injury, okay? Like, he was banged up here and there in his earlier seasons, but he shared a lot of the carry with Taylor, so he wasn't that bad. He only missed, like, one game. But, you know, last year he missed 4 games. He's coming back from a knee surgery. He'll be fine. He looks awesome. He's going to be fine. He's going to be consistent. And, you know, I'm a big MJD fan all the way, so.
All right, rounding out my top 25, I got Rivers at 20. I'm sorry, 21. LeGarrette Blount at 22. Mike Williams, also on the Bucks with LeGarrette, at 23. Austin Miles at 24. And Drew Brees at 25. Mr. Consistency, Drew Brees. That is a word that I use a lot, consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I love consistency. Rivers obviously is very consistent as well at 21. LeGarrette Blount could be a crapshoot. I think LeGarrette's going to pay off huge, though. I actually think the Bucks offense is going to be like a top 5 offense this year. I think it's going to be a very explosive offense. I think Mike Williams is going to be a beast. Josh Freeman is insane. He threw 24 touchdowns to 6 interceptions last year, and he's a beast. Like, he's a guy playing in his second full year, and he had a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's pretty amazing. And
I mean, he could be off to a slow start, Josh Freeman, though. You know, he might not come right out the gate so hot. Like, if you look at their schedule, I think they play a few tough defenses at the beginning of the season, the early part of the season. So, you know, he might be very well, like, very good. You know,
yeah,
definitely,
I mean,
like, a low-end number one.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't see him having,
talking
like...
Mike Williams, not Josh Freeman.
Well,
I was just talking about Josh Freeman.
Well,
yeah, I wouldn't put Freeman in the top 25. I do think Freeman's gonna have a really good year though. Freeman could be a good sleeper.
Oh yeah, well, Mike Williams. I mean, I kept him just outside of my top 25. That's only because of the fact, you know, they're gonna have a tougher schedule. There are other wide receivers that have better quarterbacks that can do better numbers.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna actually round out my top 25 right now. At 21, I have LeGarrette Blount. You had him at 22, so it's pretty much the same. Hakeem Nicks at 22. I had him a little later than you had him. 23, I got...
Hakeem's a beast.
Yeah, he is a beast. I should have put him higher, but you know what it is? His health. You know,
that's what scares me, but, you know, I hope he just keeps it together. I mean, it was only last year that he got hurt. Did he get hurt his rookie year?
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, he was hurt like the last couple of games.
Maybe that is a problem. I actually do hate that, but his upside is so big.
He's
so big.
He's a huge guy. He's fast. You know, he's a touchdown monster.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think he did it. He had a touchdown every game that he played last year. I think he only played 11 games or 12 games, but still.
Yeah, he did miss a few games, but he's a monster, and he still had over 1,000 yards. Yeah, so I had Hakeem Nicks at 22, 23, Mr. Consistency, Drew Brees. I mean, right after Rodgers, in my opinion, it's Brees and, you know, Brady and Manning and those guys, but I like Brees out of the rest of them, you know, after the Rodgers crew. And, you know, Vic is great. I had him in my top 10, but I'm a guy that would stay away from him just for the injury purposes.
Exactly.
You know,
but Vic could single-handedly win you games. Like, he had a game last year where he scored like 46 or 48. He's a beast.
Yeah.
And he does everything.
And then my 24 and 25 is Tom Brady and Vincent Jackson. Just because he's got Rivers throwing the ball. Yeah. I did not put Rivers in my top 25. I put him just outside. Just because, you know, to be honest with you, it was either Brady or Rivers. I didn't want to put like both of them. I wanted to concentrate a little more on wide receivers for my top 25.
I want to.
I could have put him there instead of Vincent Jackson.
I wanted to
but
put
VJ.
Vincent Jackson in my top 25, but I just don't trust that he's going to keep his head screwed on.
I think he's in a contract year, I think.
Yeah.
So I think this will be the one year you can get really good use out of him. So, excuse me. So for a Regent Earth League, he's awesome. And PPR League, he gets even better.
He is good for a redraft league. I just feel like you could get him outside your top 25 too. And he's great value with there.
Well,
just top 25. I don't know if he's great value. Just because there's a lot of other wideouts that are really consistent.
Well, yeah, I have a few.
And then obviously we throw in Nix, who's not so consistent, but he's got just huge upside.
And exactly. I mean, like, I have just outside of my top 25, Dwayne Bowe, Mike Williams on Tampa Bay, Michael Turner, Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning, and Ahmad Bradshaw. Obviously, those three wide receivers that are in there, those two wide receivers, Bowe and Williams, they could be in the top 25. They could definitely jump ahead of a guy like Jackson or even Nix. But you know what it is with Nix? In the beginning of last year, he was like the top 3 receiver, and then he was still up there, and he missed a few games. So it's very hard for those other guys, especially like a guy like Dwayne Bowe and Mike Williams. I mean, Mike Williams, he's great, and I'm sure he'll be consistent. I'm sure he'll be up there. Dwayne Bowe's another guy that scares me a little bit. That's why he did not put him up there,
He had just like a stretch of 8 or 9 games last year in his entire career. He's only had that stretch of 8 or 9 games where he really.
He has so much potential.
He does have a ton of potential, but I got to see it from him again to put him in the top 25.
And also, there's a lot of hype to him. He's never really lived up to that hype, and he's cost me a couple of games, a few fantasy seasons. Like, it just gets to the point where it's like, he's good, but he's not worth it. Like, there's so much better talent out there. Like a guy like Deshaun Jackson, who I haven't even mentioned. That's mainly because of the whole contract and the injury thing. But he's easily up there. He should be ranked higher than Bowe. Like, I like him and Mike Williams in that next set of wide receivers. Just like I have Turner and Bradshaw. I have them in like my next set of running backs. Like, they would be awesome number 2. Like, Turner, if you could get him, like, if you have a top 5 or 6 pick and you get a great running back.
You pair Turner with a Chris Johnson. It's a great move.
That's insane.
We both did leave Turner out of our top 25. I actually left him out. I just have a bad feeling about him. Like, it's just a gut feeling. Like, nothing more than that to leave him out right now.
What was it, 3 years ago when he first went to Atlanta? I was high on him.
Yeah.
Like,
if
I had a 12 pick, I would have taken him then. And people, that happened in the draft, and a lot of people were, like, shocked. But you know what? He's been a monster. Because in San Diego, he didn't get the ball a lot. That first year, he had 300-something carries. The year after that, he got hurt. Only a few games, but he still had like 200 and something carries. And last year he missed a few games, so he's 31, 32. He's like up there in age, and we all know running backs don't have long value unless they're monsters like Thomas Jones, genetic freaks.
And it's just the gut feeling. Like, something just tells me, like, I know he had 1,300 yards last year, but I just don't expect it from him this year. Like, just something tells me he's on the decline. Like, he's still gonna be all right. He's still gonna get you 1,000 yards. I think he's gonna get you like 7 or 8 touchdowns. But I just don't feel like he's top 25 material. Like, I feel like he's still gonna have a decent year, just not as good of a year.
Especially if you did something like maybe a little advantageous, like taking Jones-Drew in the top 8 picks.
Oh, you can't match him with Turner.
Well, you can, actually.
I feel like they're both, like, kind of in the same situation. Like, you're kind of, like, hoping your top 2 running backs.
Yeah, but it's a one-year league.
I feel you, but, I just feel like those guys are a little more up there. They have a little more wear and tear on their body. Like, I just wouldn't want to pair them together.
That's our show for today. If you have any questions, comments, or would like to talk about our top 25, please write down below, and we will sure to talk about it on our next show. Once again, it's the Fantasy Show with 2 dumbasses and a shitty set.